First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately? Second more, the equation E is equal mc squared. We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature. That's like when you're in physics and you go to Dreamworld saying, this is a physics excursion. Science, what is it all about? The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of a nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold. You're tuned into what can only be described as the best radio station on this blue dot we call Earth. It is, of course, 4ZZZ, your community broadcaster. Be it on your conventional wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM, digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, listening via the Community Radio Plus app, or streaming us live from our sensational website at 4ZZZ.org.au. And of course, you can always listen back to us or any 4ZZZ show for that matter using the ingenious on-demand feature also found at that URL. We also now have a weekly podcast of the show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which my mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K, your weekly dose of science, interlaced with a nearly all-Australian playlist. And joining me today for this episode to speak all things science are three of my favourite science influencers.
Oh.
We got Peta.
Hello.
We got Gabe.
Hi.
And we got Issy.
Max, can you turn my mic on, please? Great start.
Coming through the background.
Yeah.
Hello, I would like to be here.
Max has never had to turn on all four mics at the start of a show. It's so rare that we're all here at the same time.
I got to warm into it. Yeah.
Hey, now I've got a question for you guys before we start the show. Do you reckon we've missed any show since April 2022? Do you reckon there's been any Wednesday where we haven't gone to air?
See, I don't know. My gut says no, but then there's maybe we missed one for Radiothon.
I don't think we have. Do you think, Max?
No, we've never missed one.
We've never had outside coverage or anything.
I don't think we've had an outside. I don't think we've had a bump for 4 or 5 years.
I don't even think when we had our natural disaster earlier this year that we missed it either.
I think we were still here.
You guys came, rain or shine, this show goes on.
Yeah.
So I asked Max, because April was the last time I tracked the number show that we're up to.
Yeah.
We did do one for 500. We knew when we hit that, but we're up to the 400s in April 2022. So I'm like, I wonder what number we're up to. And I looked. Do you know what it spat out? Number 666.
Truly a cursed show.
Beautiful.
So we got number 666 for you coming up today on the show.
Sorry, Gabe, but this is the 668th episode of the show No Idea on 4ZZZ.
Now, we'll get into a bunch of stuff. Peter, you've got some stuff on octopuses, I think? Is it Octopus
No, it is
Day?
World Octopus Day, so it can't be a cursed show because they are a blessed species. Blessed to us, octopuses. I love them. So I'll be chatting a little bit about them, but that's not the science I have. That's just me talking about them.
And Ig Nobels also happened.
Right.
It's still happening. The Nobel Prizes, like the Z-Liner said, have started, but they're not finished yet. So I'm going to keep doing the Ig Nobels until they've wrapped up the Nobel Prizes.
Ig Nobels get it done in one ceremony. Nobels are taken forever.
Exactly right. Hour and a half. They got someone screaming at you if you go over time. That's how you do it. So we'll do the Ig Nobels. And then, Max, a little later on in the show, I wanted to get into the scientific legacy of Dr. Jane Goodall, who we did lose from, but since our last show. And so I'm going to get into some of the science that she pioneered throughout her career.
It can't be a cursed show. It just truly cannot be. There's so much good stuff happening today.
Ig Nobels.
Okay. Yeah, you're tuning into 4ZZZ. And the show is No Idea with me, Max. We got Issy, we got Peta, we got Gabe, and we got this. Hit us up, Peta.
Can you guys float?
Can I float?
Can you float?
No. What, in water?
In water?
Or
No, in
mid-air?
magma. Yes, in water.
Yes.
How many opportunities do you have to float in other liquids?
Levitate. Yes.
I believe I'm capable of flotation
Yeah.
in the right circumstances.
I actually find it really difficult. I suck at it. I kind of sink a bit. But the funny thing is, underwater, there's this thing called neutral buoyancy, right? Have you guys heard about this?
No.
Everyone's giving me blank stares.
Neutral buoyancy.
Neutral buoyancy is a thing that you learn when you do diving, right? And it means essentially keeping yourself in the water column, neither floating nor sinking. You're not going up, you're not going down. You just sort of sit in the water column. And this is something that fish can do. They have a swim bladder, right? Which is a little thing of gas. Now we do it by weighting ourselves, putting the literal weight on us, and then having a thing called a BCD, buoyancy control device, I believe it is, which literally just fills with air from your tank. So you're like, more air go up, less air go down, weight go down, and then you have to like get yourself at the exact right amount so that it so that you can become neutrally buoyant. So neutral buoyancy is a big thing in diving. People who are naturally neutrally buoyant, screw you. Your lives are so easy. Yeah. Mine is not. But the thing is, if you have dived, has anyone dived here?
No, I don't think so.
Nah, just snorkel.
Okay, so
Your
when
boy
you're diving,
is too asthmatic.
yeah, your lungs suck.
Yeah.
The thing is that when you're diving, you'll be sitting in the middle of the water column, right? And for anyone who's listening who does this, think to yourself, when I'm there, when I'm just floating, when I'm just in the middle of the water column looking at something, how still am I? Because it's not very, to be honest, like very rarely. Most of my memories of diving is me trying to orient myself into a stable position so that I'm not like flopping all over the place. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm constantly trying to adjust myself to stay where I am and be able to look at things. Which is why some researchers, including Dr. Valentina De Santo from Scripps Institution of Oceanography, University of California, San Diego, QS ranking, please.
Oh, so this is Unical.
Unical,
Okay.
San Diego.
That's high. I think it's like 13.
Yeah, I'm going to say 24.
38.
It's 21, max.
Ooh.
So close. But they're actually like 8th in the world for marine science. They
Right.
are a very good, especially
I wanted to
Scripps
say
is
that,
well
but,
known.
yeah.
Scripps is great. So essentially, they were like, people have assumed. Think about fish, and when they're just floating in the water, sort of hovering is the way they call it. So they're just sitting in the water column. They look still. They're very still, and people thought that this was a form of rest because they're so still and they've got these swim bladders that make them neutrally buoyant. But previous research from Dr. DeSanto found that for some species, there's actually like energy costs. The energy costs of living vary depending on what speed they're at. So she was like, wow, I wonder if there's an energy cost to this hovering because it had been assumed that it was effortless. So this is what they did. They got 13 species of bony fishes possessing swim bladders, ones that have them, from a couple different shapes, sizes, different things. There was one called a giant danio, which is not giant. It only grows to 10 centimeters, but it does look like a guppy, so it could be a very big guppy. There's a goldfish, you should know that one. And there's a figure 8 pufferfish, which is yellow and black spotted, and it's got a bit of a big belly. So things like that, like very big range of fish that they did. Each fish was placed individually in a specialized flow tank that allowed the researchers to precisely control the water conditions and film from multiple angles. They also measured their oxygen consumption and their metabolic rate, so they're trying to see exactly how much energy they are using when during 2 different states. So the hovering, which is this like stationary position in the water column using fins, and then resting, which is when fish support themselves on the bottom of the tank. If you didn't know this, if you've ever had fish before, they will sleep on the bottom of the tank. Like they just sort of rest the bottom of their body on the bottom of the tank. Or I had a Peta, I got him a little leaf and he would sleep on his leaf. They like resting themselves on things. And so then what they did is they got high-speed video analysis, and while they were hovering, the fish were recorded with these high-speed cameras so that they could track the frequency, amplitude, and coordination of their fin beats. Then they got into the biomechanical and morphological measurements. So they measured each fish's body size, shape, center of mass, so where their body mass would stay, and their center of buoyancy, which is like where their swim bladder is, and then its shape and its position. So where is your buoyancy center? And then they quantified the distance between the center of mass and the center of buoyancy, which is a thing about stability, right? Like if your buoyancy center is different from your mass center, you'll be a little bit more unstable. And then they essentially compared this. So they were like, well, is this biological difference changing their metabolic cost through the inefficiency of having to stabilize yourself? And here's the big finding. Fish expanded double the energy while hovering compared to resting on the tank floor. Double. Like, that's a huge amount of energy increase for hovering. So species also with a greater separation between their center of mass and buoyancy used more energy, which we kind of assumed, which is confirming that counteracting of instability is what that energy cost is. So they're using their little pectoral fins, the ones like Nemo's lucky fin. Think of that one. Just moving those little ones back and forth, trying to keep their bodies upright. Fins with their fish with their pectoral fins farther back on their bodies hovered more efficiently. So the further back your little fins are, you're going to be better at it. Apparently they think it's through leverage and control. And then also like the body shapes, like the slender species were actually worse at hovering, whereas the deep-bodied species, so they're a bit thicker. It's a bit hard to explain them given they're 3D, but like tall maybe. Taller species were more stable and efficient, so they're good. Which is weird to me because I thought it would be like a sail, like you didn't want much body weight, but that's fine. And then they said, like, despite them all having near neutral buoyancy from their swim bladders, they all had to use constant subtle fin corrections to maintain their posture. So essentially what this has found is that hovering is not rest. The thing that we've assumed for a very long time, hovering is not rest. It's not what it does. It's energetically costly. It's an active behavior. They want to use it for like trying to make underwater robots. They've got all these ideas of what they want to do next. They want to test different fish species. They want to see it in the wild, blah, blah, blah. My big question is, if it's energetically costly, why are they doing it? Like, they're not eating. They're not, like, it's not linked to any behavior. We thought it was rest for the longest time. So what are they doing? Like, what could possibly be the reason for just hanging out in the water column? Interesting. That's the weird part of my weird science.
Well done. And it's time for a bit of part 2 of this. What you got for Gabe?
Like we said at the top of the show, Max, the Nobel Prizes are currently being announced. We've got the Medicine and Physiology Prize that came out, and we had the Physics Prize that came out, like the Z-liner said at the top. But they're still going. They take about a week to get rid of all of the certificates and $1 million prizes and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into those next week. This week, though, we're going to stick with the Ig Nobel Prizes, which jump the gun. They get in first, so we're going to cover them first. Which means, of course, we have to do the segment within the segment.
Welcome!
That's the official welcome opening to the Improbable Research Awards award ceremony for the Ig Nobel Prizes. And so this one that we're getting into is the Ig Nobel Prize for Nutrition, which has gone to scientists studying...
Which didn't go to the Cacio e Pepe.
The Ig Nobel Prize for Nutrition did not go to the Cacio e Pepe, the perfect pasta sauce. The Ig Nobel Prize for Nutrition has gone to scientists studying which kinds of pizza lizards like to eat more.
Oh. Hell yeah.
Of course. Yes, of course.
Duh.
And the raging debate about pineapple on a pizza.
Yeah. No pineapple on any of the pizzas tested.
Damn.
So we can't let lizards into this debate yet. Yeah. However, so this
Can
comes
lizards
to us.
taste?
Of course.
How much?
Pretty much anything that consumes food will have some sort of sense of taste as a sort of, at least as an evolutionary response to toxins and things. Yeah, exactly,
but can they taste like, I guess lizards do eat vegetables. I was thinking like they wouldn't be evolved to taste a tomato.
They do clearly have taste because they're not eating pineapple on pizza. So
whoa. We don't know that yet. That hasn't been tested, Issy.
So this comes to us from Italian, Nigerian, Togolese and French researchers. Now, none of the institutions involved have a QS ranking. They're either institutes or universities outside of the ranking.
With this, they're sure to
I reckon this study
them.
might break them into it. I don't know how many citations in Ig Nobel... Actually, I do know how many citations. It's one. You get one citation from the Ig Nobel Prizes because it gets published and then and cites all the research. They studied rainbow lizards that live in a seaside resort in West Africa. So these are resort lizards.
I mean, that sounds like a great life. I'd love to be a rainbow lizard in a resort in Africa.
Yeah. So
great.
These rainbow lizards, they look a bit like a water dragon.
They're not that rainbow.
And they are kind of... They're like the equivalent of water dragons in a lot of West Africa, in that they're really high numbers in suburban and urban areas. So they're the sort of equivalent, but they're called rainbow lizards because the males, when they go full breeding mode, they get this like bright orange head and top of their torso, and then a navy blue on the rest of their body. And so because it's the blue and the red, or the blue and the orange, they get called rainbow lizards. So
They're just orange and blue.
you could argue that rainbows need more than two colours, but that's...
I could argue that rainbows have very specific colours,
How about we
which
call
only
them-
one of those is there.
We'll call them Agamas then, which is the scientific name.
Oh, that's nice.
Agama, and is one of the local languages for lizard. How about we call them Agamas?
Beautiful. Love that.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Okay. So usually they're insectivorous, but they're also super adaptable to different conditions. One of the reasons why they can deal with humans, right? They're very adaptable to different conditions. And some individuals shift from daytime feeders in a rural area to suddenly becoming nocturnal feeders for insects and other critters used at night.
Around like the lights and stuff.
Using artificial lights to stay warm enough to hunt,
Oh, hell yeah.
right? So they're really adaptable.
They're like, man, this setup is sweet.
Yeah, every now and then I get to recharge and all the food comes here. So every now and then some of them will also eat bread-based diets.
Oh.
And at a coastal resort in southern Togo, West Africa, these scientists revealed a bread-based rainbow lizard diet never before known to science, which was, of course, pizzas. The story was they saw one adult male opportunistically stealing a piece of 4-cheese pizza from tourists by climbing on a table. And so they went, well, let's see if this is a usual thing for these lizards to be eating, or if this is just a one-off sort of observation that we're making, or a one-off
I love
lizard.
that they were just at the pub after doing their regular research, and they were like, guys,
Bin lizards.
new chance for more science. Bin lizards. Max, why do you always say the craziest things when I'm giving an example? Like, that cannot go unnoticed. Bin lizards is fantastic.
So they, on 2 different days, there was a very small study. They offered 2 types of pizzas. One was 4 cheeses and the other 4 seasons. Now, I'm assuming pineapple's not on 4 seasons.
What's a 4 seasons?
You're welcome to look into what a 4 seasons is. I assume that's a different word for like a supreme. And they placed them on the ground, spaced about 10 metres apart from each other and about 10 metres from the trees where the adult lizards were previously spotted. And then they monitored their behaviour from about 15 metres away from where the pizzas were. All right? So you got the 2 different types of pizzas, 10 metres apart. What's a 4
Okay, so a 4 seasons pizza, I've
is
got to have to say,
crazy.
this cannot be a good experiment.
Yeah.
Because a 4 seasons pizza is literally divided into 4, and it's essentially 4 different like pizzas on the same
That's
pizza.
all of them.
There's like...
Are you reading the wiki that I'm reading? Because it represents, each section represents 1 season of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
There's like
So it's like
artichokes on what. So, but this means that it depends on what bloody section they're eating. Like, why would you have one is 4 cheese and the other
season?
one is everything?
Wow. So it's a test of a cheese pizza or an everything pizza.
Yes, there you
That's
go.
awesome. And there might be pineapple on that
No,
pizza.
that's artichoke, but
But
don't
they could,
worry.
4 seasons could potentially
Prosciutto,
have it.
olives. Yeah, wow.
I spoke too soon.
I mean, it sounds great,
We're gonna have
but
to
it is just
dive
like
into the
not.
method to see like
Yeah.
what
Did the
results.
methods look at which bit they bit?
I read the whole paper. It's a page and a half. These are not
Oh, okay.
in-depth studies. These are the Ig Nobel papers are a very short science. So the results from this, right? Keeping in mind they only had the 2 types of pizzas, and one we've established was quite weird. So within 15 minutes from the start of the experiment, lizards actively fed upon pizzas, including fighting over the food and even running to a feeding location as far as 15 meters, and did so on multiple occasions. It lasted for
too.
about 2 hours, and crucially, the lizards ate pizza, but only the 4 cheese type.
Really?
None of the lizards observed in that 2
Lizards
hours
like cheese.
ate the 4 seasons pizza, which one of the researchers says these are clearly very Italian lizards.
Yes, in southern Western Africa.
Yes. Yeah. So they had this preference. They would descend from trees, from other areas, and just go for the 4 cheeses pizza. Which means, that's what's won them this nutrition prize. Is figuring
I love
these
to think that the
lizards
waiters
like
are coming out with like the nice, fresh, hot pizza
Yeah.
with the quattro formaggi, and then this person sitting at their table being like, "Man, I'm so excited for my pizza." And as the waiter steps out of the kitchen, they're suddenly mugged by thousands of lizards, like climbing. Like the trees rustle, and then there's drops of lizards going onto the ground, and they like scuttle across the ground. And the waiter's trying to get through them, making sure that the pizza gets to the person, and the person's like putting up walls around the table to protect the pizza. pizza from these lizards. They're probably not that into pizza, but I'd like to think that they are.
Yes, so they got into a bit of why this might be happening. They think there could be
Cheese
some
is
chemical
delicious.
cues specifically in this Four Cheeses pizza that's attracting the lizards, or there could be specific nutrients that they're attracted to or that are more easily digested for them that they're going for in the cheese. Four cheese pizza, and what they also found was that it's the first time that several individuals in one of these rainbow lizard Agama populations has been seen to be consuming a lot of a non-human diet.
Okay.
Of a
human diet, of a non-lizard diet.
Non-lizard diet.
Yeah.
So first time that's been shown, and they also observationally recorded that all of those lizards seem to be in good health. So they're actually quite curious now to go and do more research of...
If pizza is healthier for lizards than me, I'm going to throw something that's not fair.
It could be that these lizards might actually be in a better condition than the ones that aren't eating the human food in the same areas or similar areas. And they actually really want to look into if it may be helping the breeding females in particular keep enough weight on to have a good breeding season.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so they want to see if they're able to exploit human food.
Can I make a counter hypothesis? Because you were saying, it might be good for them. That's why they're seeking it out. It's good molecules for them to digest. Nah, pizza isn't good for us to digest. It's just delicious. Maybe it's just delicious to lizards, and even though
also
it doesn't
very
help
possible.
them, they're like, hell yeah, pizza.
But they do want to check if the body condition of the insectivorous diet, insect-only diet, it might be worse compared to these cheese-based ones because of the lipids in the cheese allow them to rapidly put on.
Ig Nobel next year, surely.
That's
Fuel. Yeah.
And haven't they been seen hanging around the soft drink vending machine as well?
Yeah, they haven't quite figured out the coins yet, Max. Once they
Keep getting
get
stuck
there,
to their
I
fingers.
think it's game over for us.
I want to be mobbed by small lizards.
I
while
hope
I
a
eat
future
pizza.
Ig Nobel Prize for Nutrition goes to the soda preferences of Agama lizards.
Are lizards lactose intolerant? Can that be?
I cannot understand how lizards would be able to, like, you're a lizard, you're not even a mammal. Like, it's crazy that we can drink another mammal's milk. They're not even a mammal. They're so far away. You shouldn't be able to
That's a
drink
lot
it.
of
Like,
questions.
not only should you not drink milk now, you shouldn't have ever drunk milk. Milk is so out of your diet. It's not for you. But also cheese is for everyone, so.
We've been getting some text in on 0420-626-733. Jim says maybe 4 cheeses in a slice of each cheese type. Does that make sense? And
That
so it's
would
like
be
a 4
crazy.
seasons, but
Yeah.
one cheese. But no, I like them all together.
Yeah.
I couldn't just do
Lactose
one
intolerant final
section of
boss.
like blue. You know what I mean? Like, because I like the gorgonzola, but it has to be mixed in with everything else.
we had one from DJ Oz. He wants to know, congratulations on the milestone episode of 666.
Thank
and
you.
then he wants to know, we have to do a bit of research. He wants to know what uni has that QS ranking.
Great question.
Okay.
I did have a quick look. No, there is actually no university. It's
it
like
a range?
664, and then
Yeah.
it jumps up to 668, and leaves
they
out
know.
666.
When I went to Catholic high school, we tried to find locker 666, and they didn't have one. They had like purposely taken them out, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. Also, DJ
Maybe
Oz,
they've
when
done
are
the
we
same
going to
thing.
get the randomized pizza? If we're talking about 4 seasons,
Yeah,
let's
true.
get one with everything.
Yeah, he's just written about that.
Guys,
Should
now
the
I really
cave
want
in be
pizza.
concerned about pizza eating lizards? So there you go.
Pizza eating lizards.
Is that today's episode title? Pizza eating
Eating
lizards?
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to give out one of these because Kai from Ferny Grove, thank you for subscribing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This wonderful radio station.
Their gobbles sounded like guffaws in the early sun. But what's worse is that last night I found out they may not have even liked it. Because a new study from the University of Exeter has found out that seagulls prefer to eat seafood.
Wow.
Did we miss out on something last night? Well, these two have woken up in a mood, reciting poetry, tall tales of seagull woes. What's happening?
Wow.
You tune into 4ZZZ. The show's No Idea with me, Max, Issy, Peta, Gabe, part 3. I got a bit of Australian research to talk about. I'm going to talk about rammed earth construction, which is
Nice.
Okie dokie.
it's an ancient building technique that creates walls by compacting a damp mixture of soil, sand, gravel, and clay into strong formwork. Modern variations often include cement as a stabiliser to increase durability and strength. Unfortunately, cement and concrete production, as we know, account for about 8% of annual global emissions.
Also, we're running out of sand.
Yeah, are we?
Although I guess this production doesn't actually help. Yeah, no, genuinely, we're running out of sand. It's a major global issue. But continue.
A team of RMIT University QS ranking.
Remit.
RMIT. I have no clue. I don't think I've ever.
I'm going to go
They jumped up, didn't
189.
they?
You think?
I think 90.
I would.
They've been putting out some really good stuff.
I would think 200s or 300s.
125.
Damn.
Wow.
Good on him.
Oh,
So
nice, Remit.
Remit engineers want to eliminate the use of concrete and use cardboard tubes instead. Lead author Dr. Jamie Ma said the development of cardboard rammed earth marked a significant advancement
Can
towards
you say this with less
more
emphasis, please?
sustainable construction
I
industry.
don't need to hear about what we're doing to the earth. Let's just put a little less emphasis.
Do we take it on a date first?
Yeah, let's buy dinner first. Oh my god.
He notes modern rammed earth construction compacts soil with added cement for strength. Cement use is excessive given the natural thickness of rammed earth walls. By simply using cardboard, soil and water, we can make walls robust enough to support low-rise buildings.
We can make them thick as hell.
Nice.
It eliminates the need for cement and boasts the 1/4 of the carbon footprint at under 1/3 of the cost compared to concrete. Ma points out this innovation could revolutionise building design and construction using locally sourced materials that are easier to recycle. It also reflects the global revival of earth-based construction fueled by net zero goals and interest in local sustainable materials. The cardboard confined earth can be made on the construction site by compacting the soil and water mixture inside the cardboard formwork, either manually or with machines. He continues, instead of hauling in tons of bricks, this is where I reckon it really works. Instead of hauling in tons of bricks, steel and concrete, builders would only need to bring in lightweight cardboard, as nearly all material can be obtained on site. This would significantly cut transport costs, simplify logistics and reduce upfront material demands.
And all of the emissions that go into transporting all that
Yeah.
stuff. Handmade, yeah.
And your house would fit with the natural landscape in a really cool way.
And he reckons it would work really well in regional Australia where there's lots of red soil to be used.
Yeah.
So,
Look
yeah.
great.
This is published in the journal Structures and it's titled Cardboard Confined, Rammed Earth Towards Sustainable Construction.
That's pretty sick. I researched rammed earth for an assignment in year 11, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, this is the new innovation. Everyone else, we were doing sustainable architecture. Everyone else had chosen metal beams. And I was like, rammed earth is so cool. And someone put their hand up and was like, what happens if it rains? And I was like, okay.
I'm sure they've thought about that, to
I'm
be
sure
fair,
they've
but
thought
we
about it
have
as
not
well.
thought about that.
Yeah, so I would that's what I'm posing. I'm no doubt it'll be fine, of
Yeah.
course. And I think mixing in concrete will definitely help, obviously.
We don't want to, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could also be used, to protect from heavy rain, which I think is really interesting. But yes, I remember just sitting in class being like, But how exciting, Max. That's super cool in our own backyard as well.
You tune in to 4ZZZ, show's No Idea, with me, Max, Issy, Gabe, and Peta. And we just got another subscriber in. We got Ben, who subscribed. So thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Where's Ben from? Ben's from Brisbane. There you go.
Oh, nice. Ben from Brisbane.
Ben from
Thanks,
Brisbane.
Ben. Brisbane Ben.
And
Brisbane
if you
Ben.
want to subscribe, get onto the website. We'll talk about that later because we're going to kick it off with a bit of this.
Do you know what tuna is?
Fish.
It's fish!
Thank God someone's working on this. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Fish are friends, not food.
Great start. Gabe, what does the cat say?
Yeah?
Max, what does the chicken say?
Cluck, cluck.
And Izzy, what does a shark say?
Hit us up, Peta.
What do we think? It's draft one. I can tell. I like it so much.
It's so beautiful. Literally speechless.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Max, you've been talking about this for weeks. You have nothing.
How long are we going to be able to have it before it gets copyright strikes?
I think that's it. I think that was our once and done.
We have a shorter version. The other option was me sing the song, so that could happen, just to avoid any issues in that department.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So, fun fact, when you like marine creatures or you're a marine scientist, people just always assume that you love turtles.
Yes.
All the time. People are like, oh, you must love turtles. I mean, they're fine. They're cool. They're not my faves. They're okie dokie. Like, okay, Gabe, what's one thing you would never say about a turtle?
Intelligent beings.
Literally exactly what I have written down.
They're pretty thick.
They're not that bright. There's not much going on upstairs. I still like them. I just don't think they're like super interesting personally. Okay, no, I'm just hating on turtles now. I think they're fine. But the thing that got me interested in this article is because the researchers described this turtle as, quote, highly social. The only time I've ever seen a turtle even recognize another turtle is when they were fighting over the same coral to sleep in. Like, I've never seen them have consciousness in their eyes before. So that was really exciting to me to hear that these ones were social. We're looking at giant South American river turtles.
Okay.
They are called giant because they can grow up to 1 meter, which for a freshie is massive. That is a huge freshwater turtle. Usually they're quite little. They are unfortunately threatened by poaching with their eggs and their meat and habitat pressures. But to be able to properly conserve a species, you need a couple of things. Gabe, what sort of things do you need to conserve a species?
Enough of them. You need
That's a good start.
You need habitat.
How would you know that?
You need a big enough genetic pool. You need the threats to be pulled off.
How do you know how do you know how many you have?
Go count them.
You got to be able to count them. You have to know how many you have. You can't decide if you have enough if you don't know how many you have. So one of the main things that people do with endangered species is count them. We do a lot of counting. And it's actually, you don't have to be exact. You don't need to count every single animal, but you need to have a pretty good methodology of figuring out how many there are. Mm-hmm. So these ones are traditionally counted through ground surveys, but literally just going in and counting them by hand, which they live in the Amazon, so not super easy. And then the other thing they'll do is an aerial mosaic. So they take a couple photos from the air and sort of estimate how many there are. But this aerial mosaic thing can have, like, both methods can have issues, right? So a team from the Wildlife Conservation Society and the University of Florida, QS ranking, please.
University of Florida. I feel like this is going to be disappointingly high.
Yeah. Do you reckon? I reckon it'd be like 250.
91.
333.
Max is on the ball today. It's 2:15.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Actually, like crazy. They developed a mixed ground and aerial model to see if they could reduce some errors in counting. So what they did is they selected this nesting sandbank in the Guapore River, which is on the Brazil-Bolivia border. And they knew that it was used by female turtles to brood, like to lay their eggs. They knew that. Then what they did, and this is like the big difference, is they marked 1,187 turtles with white paint on their shells. They put a little white dot on them. I read the paper. They got up at 3 a.m. every day to go mark these turtles.
Okay.
That's very, very early. I think that's crazy. And then on the 12 consecutive days that they were there during the nesting season, they flew drone flights 4 times per day, doing this like back and forth sort of pattern with significant overlap. This is done in many, many, many different like counting things. This is a common methodology. And then, so essentially you can put all of those images together and you get one giant, very detailed picture called an orthomosaic from these drone flights.
Okay.
They got 1,500 individual images per day that made these orthomosaics.
Yep.
But the difficult thing with orthomosaics, these stitched together pictures, is that some of the errors include things like double counting individuals because they moved while the drone was flying.
Classic panorama move.
Classic.
Slide on the left, run around the back.
Yeah.
They
Get on
have
the
an
other
example in the paper where they have shown like one that they actually tracked because it had the little mark on the shell and you can see that it's moved.
Yeah.
But if
See
you didn't
Clive
know,
sitting there looking at the drone going, I'm in shot, I'm in
Yeah.
shot. It's like, go, 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 go.
I'm thinking QR codes. QR codes. For sure.
Actually, that could be a cool extension of this. But then essentially other things can be like they're covered by foliage and then they're not, all sorts of stuff. And so then the thing that they did is they looked at these mosaics, and for every turtle in the mosaic, they recorded whether they had a white shell mark, whether they were nesting, aka stationary, or walking in motion, and then whether the turtle was entering or leaving the sandbank zone. Then they developed these like mathematical models to try and figure out like, were they entering or leaving, like the probability of the shell marks, the double counts, all of those things. And then they sort of like corrected benchmarks and looked at this. So key things that they found. Number one, only 35% of the turtles that used the sandbank were present during one flight. So like they didn't get that many per time. About 20% of the turtles that they detected walking were counted multiple times. So if they were moving, they would count them moving multiple times, like they would show up multiple times in the same image. So moving turtle bad for drone image, up to 20%. Ground observers, this is the big final counts, right? People on the ground thought there were 16,000 turtles. The uncorrected orthomosaic count was 79,000 turtles. Pretty big difference. And then when they had their model adjusted, which is considered the most reliable number, was 41,000 turtles.
Okay, so people are missing half of them.
People miss half of them because they can't see them or they're in the water or, over time or whatever. The orthomosaics are double counting them because they're moving. And then this one sort of takes all of that away and you know the right amount of turtle. The coolest thing about this, though, is that this is actually... Did not mean to do this, but they found the biggest nesting site of any freshwater turtle.
Whoa.
41,000. It's also tiny. Like the little sandbank area that they're looking at is not large. So there's tens of thousands of turtles. Like I imagine you can't walk for nests. It must be incredibly hard to put your foot down there in case you squash something. So yeah, really crazy. This is just like a really cool thing that people can now use to try and make their own methodology. It will need to be adapted for other species, right? So even other species of turtle, you'd need to adapt it because you need to figure out how fast they move, where they're going, blah, 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 all of those things. But like theoretically, this could also be used on birds, another famously mobile species.
Fish of the sea.
It's not single
Fish of
species.
the air.
Fish of the air.
Yeah, the fish of the sea are just fish, Max. Hate to tell you it. But yeah, they're also going to like look all over the rest of the Amazon, see if they can find more of these turtles. The only thing I'm a little nervous about is they did publish exactly where this nesting site is.
Oh, no.
When their main issue is poaching of eggs and meat.
Yeah, true.
So maybe I wouldn't have done
great.
exactly that, but hopefully it's now got some protection.
Because
But dinosaurs did not go extinct. We know that. Not dinosaurs. Many dinosaurs went extinct, but dinosaurs did not go extinct. We have them all around us. They're called birds.
yeah.
I just like to really lay down the law there. Not
As
They just got
a
beaks.
marine scientist.
as a marine scientist, I'm here to talk
We
to
got
you
birds.
about birds.
That's it.
Yeah.
The fish of the
And it
air.
may have not been a meteorite.
You tuned to 4 Triple Z. We got Max. We got Issy. We got Maximillian. We got Gabe.
Okay, it's time for the best part of the show. Loosely defined as science, yeah, you already know. Everybody listens to 4 Triple Z just to hear us talking about what Butters just did. Subscriptions just keep rolling like the tires on a car. But something tells me that our science curves won't go far. But unlike an engine, I won't keep you in suspension. We're all here to hear him talk, so let's give him attention. You're not ready for when he starts rapping. Gonna hand the mic to Max, and I'm not talking Van Stappen.
No Australian anthem today, unfortunately.
Yeah, controversial.
No Aussie anthem.
F1 happened in Singapore. It was a traditional race weekend, which means you have free practice 1, 2 and 3 to set up the car. Then on Saturday you get qualifying in the afternoon, and then Sunday's afternoon race, the feature race.
Not just the afternoon, because it's Singapore, it's actually a night race.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the few on the calendar.
The starting grid was a bit unusual. We had George Russell up there.
I
Where did he
know.
come from?
Exactly, in the Mercedes. And then he beat out Max Verstappen to get P1, so Max Verstappen was P2. And, of course, Aussie Oscar Piastri third on the grid. But this is where it all happened. A bit of a contentious start because Aussie Oscar thought that McLaren has this thing called papaya rules where ideally they should never touch each other.
Yeah, in fact, in an interview earlier in the year, that was the definition given by Piastri.
Yeah.
Is do not crash into each other. That's what papaya
beginning
rules
of this
means.
year.
Yeah. And what has Lando done? Twice now.
Crashed into
Yeah,
Oscar
was one in
Piastri.
Canada.
Yes.
And the other
Which
one
could have
in
resulted
Singapore.
in a double DNF. If
Exactly,
it was
yeah.
a Canadian one, but
So this
Luckily, nothing went too wrong in Singapore, but it's still, you don't like to see, teammates touch.
Yeah. And it's very like Monaco, isn't it, Singapore? Once you start in your position, you finish in the same position you started, basically.
Oh, I'm so sick of it. It's kind of fun to have one processionary race a year where there's like, okay, it's all on qualifying, and then it's just impossible to pass, and it's a bit of an event, and every now and then someone gets a crazy move done or something happens in a pit stop. That's fun for Monaco. Can we just make it once? We've got like a quarter now of the tracks that you can't pass on. I'm putting everything on the next generation of cars, which have been built to be the next regs that come in next year.
Yeah.
They're supposed to make the cars more passable and a bit smaller. But
we were saying this back in 2021 about the 2022 race.
I
know.
Anyway, so the finishing...
Alonso got some moves done, though.
I was going to say, it was more of a race for the midfield, really, because once your podium was moving around a little bit, but not too much besides what was going on with McLaren. But Fernando Alonso was pulling out some very strong moves.
He was impressed with Hadjar.
Oh, yeah.
He said he couldn't believe that someone would fight so hard in a non-points position.
I know. And poor Isaac Hadjar as well with the engine issue, I believe, taking him out of the race. But oh my gosh, the absolute balls on a rookie to take up the other biggest rookie, Fernando Alonso, in the grid. I have to commend him because, a lot of people would not have done it. So I really like the fight that was going on in kind of the lower rankings because, nothing really changed, let's be honest, for the kind of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically.
Like for most of the points paying positions.
Ollie Behrman as well, getting a little bit bold as well in the kind of midfield. So, it was really interesting seeing what was going on more in the back than it was in the front.
So McLaren secured a 3rd and a 4th place, and that was enough to secure this year's Constructors' Championship.
Yep.
So job done, back to back.
Good to see McLaren celebrating with the guy who got them the most points this year.
Or not.
Not.
Yes.
Bit of a sad shot that was.
Bad optics.
Oscar in the media pen and on the TV in the background, all the teams celebrating.
And did we hear the radio as well? Oscar was not very happy towards the end, like fully pulling a Lewis Hamilton, being like, please stop talking to me.
No, he ripped his steering wheel out as they were still talking to him.
He ripped his mic
that's where all the
off.
smarts are.
Anyway, the girls were also racing on the weekend in Singapore.
Yes.
The second last race of the year.
It was. And a lot of people were talking about, Singapore is a night race because it gets so hot. And a lot of people were like, oh, thankfully, the drivers aren't racing at 3 p.m. You know who was racing at 3 p.m.? The F1 Academy drivers. So that's all I'm going to say for that. 2 races. Race 1 having American Leah Block take out the win, supported by Williams in a reverse grid, but with 2 safety cars. One incident on the track saw the high-tech GGR driver Nicole Hardvid visit Singapore General Hospital before being cleared for race 2.
Really?
So so there was a bit of an incident on the track, and it was just a general once-over, making sure no concussions or anything like that, but she got cleared. Race 2 saw Dutch Meyerweg, supported by Ferrari, take out the win despite another safety car and also some rain, surprisingly.
And she did that on the last lap.
She did it on the last. It was a
amazing to
fantastic,
watch. Great race. Because Dorian Pun was meant to win that one.
Yeah, she was. She was all set up, and in the article, there's an article from F1 Academy afterwards saying how devastated she was essentially to watch it slip out of her hands that quickly. So it takes the standings a lot more interesting now that the standings see Dorian Pan dominating still with 151, with Maya Wade 142, and British Ella Lloyd coming in 3rd with 101 points. So as you said, Max, the 2025 F1 Academy season's coming to an end with Las Vegas, of course, on the 20th to the 22nd of November, with plenty left and right to fight for, with 9 points separating Pan and Wade in the driver's standings. So if you were Dorian Pan watching that, you're literally watching 8 points almost kind of slip out of your hands.
Exactly.
So it's getting really interesting. I can't wait to see Las Vegas, not only for F1, but also, F1 Academy as well.
Cool. NASCAR happened. Sorry.
It seems like Myers found another gear.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I think she might win it.
Yeah, honestly. And I think it is her second year, so it's her last year in F1 Academy. So
Right.
she's really got to dig deep to show off what she's got. So I think it's also the same for Dorian as well. So both of these girls are basically fighting for their reputation.
Would that be and it will also mean another win for Ferrari?
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
So I think
anything but Formula One.
No, fully. So Maya might be the only apparently successful Ferrari driver. And don't forget, for the F1 Academy girls, if they do win this season, their next year gets paid for, essentially. So that is a huge financial pressure, but also relief if they do win. So a lot of money is on the line, not only their reputation and opportunities, but also whether or not they race next year. So super interesting to see that in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Because we had 2 Australians in there, but we only had one on the weekend.
We only had one on the weekend. I'm trying
Is that due to money issues?
No, she got an injury. I'm trying to remember. It was our... I'll get back to you on that one. It was our lovely Greek Australian. Had, I believe, a leg injury I was seeing on Instagram. So we only had one Aussie racing in that race. I'm not too sure where our other one fell.
About 14th.
14th, yeah. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to for Las Vegas.
NASCAR happened on the weekend. It was on a roval. Have you ever heard of that term before?
No.
It's a combination of an oval circuit and a road circuit.
Creative.
Isn't that just a racetrack? Isn't it, really?
Yeah. Australian adjacent road racer specialist Shane Van Gisbergen won the race, and he actually gave the other 36 drivers a bit of a driving lesson on how to drive. So. Yeah, pretty impressive.
A driving lesson as opposed to a driving lesson on what?
On a road circuit.
Okay, a driving lesson on how to drive. It's just, I don't know. Seems like a tautology.
On how to race. The MotoGP, Pete, I hope you're listening. It was in Indonesia on the weekend. 19 riders started the race, which saw only 14 finish. So big names such as Marc Marquez, Francisco Bagnaia failed to finish.
Wasn't that crazy? It was very early on in the race. Bagnaia, who won the last race, could not get it working, and just I think he qualified towards the back, and then just rode through the back of the world champ.
It's taking them both out.
Yeah.
It was left to a 20-year-old Spaniard, Fermin Algaya, who won the race on a Ducati. And for those who are wondering about Jack Miller, he finished last of all those riders who were still up on their bikes. But,
so no Miller special this week?
Well, he got 14th because there was only 14 riders, and he scored 2 points for that. And Gabe's favourite, and Peta maybe, Sail GP. It was in Spain on the weekend. Team Great Britain won the regatta, beating out New Zealand and Germany in the final race. Team Australia could only manage 7th for the regatta. So the championship now sees Emirates GBR first, Black Foils Team New Zealand second. This is in the World Championships. And Bonds Flying Roos Team Australia in third. Formula One, when's the next race?
2 weeks away is the next one of the US ones, as is the MotoGP on Phillip Island in 2 weeks. And then F1 Academy and Sail GP are quite a way away for the next ones. But this weekend, the big thing is the supercars are heading to Bathurst.
They are.
Yeah, the big one.
Yeah. Any more about the Australian driver or not?
No,
F1 Academy. Okay.
Couldn't fit.
Cool. We'll do it next
report
week.
back next week.
Everyone at the station knows which show's the most appreciated. It's obviously this one. Uncancelable. That's what I love to say about us. Everything we do, everything we say, everything we've ever put online, uncancelable.
Yeah. You tune into 4ZZZ.
Just a reminder.
And the show is No Idea, the best science show on 4ZZZ with me, Max. We got Gabe, we got Peter, and we got Pity.
Got who now? Who? How many years?
Peter.
The actual human years have we known each other? Oh, it's where it's coming in. You're
It's
right.
the devil. It's the devil in me. Who's up next? You up, Gabe?
Yeah. With something that I have been spending a lot of time on over the last week or so, because since our last show, the world lost one of its most incredible figures from the scientific community and a whole bunch of other communities. Dr. Jane Goodall, DBE, a UN messenger of peace, passed away. She was world renowned as a conservationist, as a humanitarian, as an ethologist, the study of animal behavior, and her legacy in all three of those areas has been talked about a lot over the last few days. But since we're the science show, I wanted to take this moment to recognize what Dr. Jane Goodall did for science, because I just think that there's so much in her history that unlocks so much of what we talk about on this show that we just have to take a moment to just appreciate how much of it is just all goes back to this last common ancestor of research of Jane Goodall's work. And so to start this off, though, I do have to say Jane Goodall herself considered herself a naturalist, not a scientist, but did advance science and did publish science. Was in the field of science, but considered herself a naturalist.
I know you love this because you've been talking for ages about how you want to have a naturalist vibe. So I'm glad that you're vibing with Dr. Jane Goodall.
Consider herself a naturalist. And I want to start her story in the 1950s when she was early 20s, just before 20, girl. And just came out of school. And like so many women in that situation, even in England, the path she wanted to go down wasn't there. Those doors were closed. And so she tells this story of her mother saying, if you're going to do something, do it properly and do it fully. And so her option that she took up and embraced fully was secretary school. So she went and studied to become a secretary. And then at the age of 23 in 1957, a school friend of hers had a family farm in Kenya. And she always wanted to go to Africa from the Dr. Dolittle books and Tarzan books she'd read. And she wanted to get into the field. So she's like, all right, let's go. Let's take this opportunity. It took them 4 months by boat to get there because there was a war with Egypt. So the canal was closed. They had to go all the way around Africa on this boat. And then they got there. And while there, a little while later, she reached out to a guy called Dr. Louis Leakey, who is a very famous paleoanthropologist, so studying the fossil history, the evolutionary biology, the evolutionary development of humans in particular. And it just so happened that 2 days, she wrote to him, they arranged a meeting. 2 days before their meeting, his secretary had left. And so Dr. Goodall became his secretary.
We should know that secretary's name.
Yeah. Yeah, we should.
She paved the way. With her quitting, we got Dr. Jane Goodall.
And so they then, after a while, Dr. Louis Leakey had been looking for someone to go and study this population of chimpanzees he knew about in Gombe Stream Game Reserve, now called Gombe Stream National Park, in the far north and west corner of Tanzania, so just below the center of Africa, just under the equator. And he'd been looking for years for someone to go study this, and he'd had a couple of people who hadn't quite worked out. No one from Western science had previously gone and done long-term field studies of wild chimpanzees, right? Like that's how out of the norm this was. And eventually he decided to send Jane, and what he really wanted was someone to go and, because we knew they had a last common ancestor with humans about 6 million years ago. So they shared with bonobos, our closest living relative, and so he wanted someone to go and study, okay, what are the behaviors in the chimps, actual behaviors, not what have Western scientists studied in controlled non-wild settings. What are the actual wild behaviors of chimps? And then let's use that, because then we can go, okay, if it's behavior in humans and in chimps, then it probably originated in our last common ancestor, and it fills in all this explanation of all these fossils I'm finding of early humans, right? Our closer ancestors. He wanted someone to go and study the behaviors, and so they picked her. It took ages to get the funding. One of the things that helped them secure the funding from the European agency that was funding it and from the local authorities for Jane to do it was they wanted another European guide with her, a local guide and another European guide. And so somehow
she needed a chaperone, basically.
Dr. Goodall, and somehow Dr. Goodall and Dr. Leakey organised for that to be her mum. So she took her mum. And so her mum was with her in these early foundational moments of this research. So they, at the time, we thought tool use was only human. At the time, we thought chimps only were vegetarian. At the time, we didn't know if chimps had these things that we considered human, like aggressive behavior, and like really close familial and social bonding through things like embracing and all of these behaviors. That we thought this was all human stuff that makes man, right? And so she went out to study this, and picked her because she didn't have traditional training. She didn't have. She had heaps of patience. She was a rapid learner of this sort of stuff. Picked her, and when they got dropped off but as far as a car could go at the time. The botanist who dropped them off later told them he didn't think he'd see either of them alive.
Oh my God. And he was cool dropping them off. He's like,
Yep.
right, ladies, have a nice hike. Jesus.
And it was like there's stories that she probably got malaria early on and all this sort of stuff happened. And then 6 months went by with very little progress. She could barely get close to the chimpanzees. She couldn't even start recording the behavior because it was such a slog to get there. And when she got there, she couldn't record their behavior properly because she couldn't get close to them. The grant renewal was coming up for its renewal date, and they weren't sure what was going to happen. And then this one chimpanzee called David Greybeard, she named him.
Fantastic name. Let's go, Jane.
Just suddenly, for some reason, it just started accepting her and would come closer, and then would start bringing the others closer to her as well, or letting her get close with the others around. And that one individual suddenly in front of her started using grass stems to fish out termites. First time tool use has been seen. Then starts stripping leaves from twigs and using them to get termites. So building a tool and then using it. And then in front of her starts eating. First time we've seen tool use, tool creation, meat eating in a non-human ape. And so she, with the first couple of observations came through, she telegraphed Dr. Leakey, the guy who'd set this up, and then he wrote back saying, now we must redefine tool, redefine man, or accept chimpanzees as humans.
Oh,
how good's that?
That's a cool quote.
And Time magazine has later listed this one chimpanzee, David Greybeard, in the top 15 most influential animals of all time.
That's cool.
Yeah, it would be.
And the name itself at the time was really controversial because she passed these results back to Europe, and Europe said, why does it have a name? It should have a number. Why is it being ascribed emotion and personality? It's an animal. And got a lot of kickbacks. So there was a lot. This was not just accepted straight away. This
silly woman has given it a name. How cute to it.
Yeah. And so then over the next few years, I'll fast forward a bit, she started studying these chimpanzees at Gombe, doing a PhD at Cambridge University, going back and forth from Tanzania. And then the big moment that broke her onto the world stage was in the 1965 cover on Nat Geo, where it's Jane Goodall sitting there and the chimpanzees right next to her. She famously talks about how she's so rational. I've been reading, I'm halfway through her recent book. I've been watching all sorts of stuff about her and reading all these biographies in the last few days. And she's so pragmatic. She's like, oh, it was just a fantastic story. It was this blonde woman with good legs in the chimpanzees in the middle of the jungle. It's a fantastic story, and it blew up. And the rest is history. And the key, I think the one other key moment I wanted to mention was about 20 years after that, in 1986, was when it turned from science into advocacy, right? Because there was this conference at that point, there were 6 populations of chimps across Africa being studied, and all the scientists came together. And at that moment, there's footage of it, and you can see. You can watch the footage of Jane Goodall standing up in front of these researchers, and you can see the moment. It's just after the moment she's decided, and she describes this as she went in as scientist and came out an activist because of the widespread declines that all of these people were documenting. They suddenly realized how big it was. The forest loss, the chimpanzee number loss that they'd been tracking wasn't just, in their pocket of the world. It was of Africa. It was across this equatorial belt of forest in Africa, and so it opened their eyes of this, and to this, and she became not just a pioneer of science and naturalism, but also of conservation, and the humans. More and more throughout her career became more and more focused on the humans around them, and how the humans fed into that science and into that conservation work. So I'll leave you with what the Nat Geo put as her top 4 sort of scientific imprints, the things that she left us with. The first is chimps are omnivores, not herbivores. The second is that chimps use tools. The third is that chimps make their tools. And beyond that, the standard of methods and ethics that became that became the standard way of operating after Dr. Jane Goodall did them, not just for studying animal behavior in things like chimps, but also in doing conservation with local communities around them. And I think that's what really makes the work unique, is that it was never been done before. And next week on the show, I have an update on a story we've been following throughout the last few months on this new research into chimpanzees and alcohol consumption. Like, we've been tracking this for the last few months, and it seems gimmicky at first, but it could actually have all these implications for how human ancestors were able to abandon trees and suddenly start exploiting this food on the ground, which then allows us to become more upright, which then the alcoholic fruit on the ground, which then means we can become upright because we don't have to climb trees as much, and then we develop all these crucial social behaviors like drinking and feasting that is seen across human cultures around the world. And there's a new paper about that I'll get into next week. All of that work rests on the shoulders of Dr. Jane Goodall, right? She completely changed the trajectory of chimpanzee research and has led to all of this understanding that we have now and that we feature on the show now.
I'm actually very emotional.
Yeah, and I think
I love her so much.
Over the next few days, I think a lot of us will be wondering how to honour Dr. Goodall.
Yeah.
And there's a few simple things you can do that, like the Jane Goodall Institute is accepting donations to continue her legacy. There's other initiatives that help people in the environment out there, but I want to leave you with a quote from her recent book where she says, "Yes, I do believe there is evil among us, but how much more powerful and inspirational are the voices of those who stand up against it. And even when they lose their lives, their voices still resonate long after they are gone, giving us inspiration and hope. Hope in the ultimate goodness of this strange, conflicted human animal that evolved from an ape-like creature some 6 million years ago." So I think my thing will be going forward will be to honour her with hope, to accept what she calls finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. And if she at 91 can maintain enough hope to travel 300 days a year,
Jesus, Jane, oh my God.
preaching this message, then I'm sure we can maintain our hope too. And that's what I've got for you, Max.
Your weekly dose of science on 4ZZZ is now available as a podcast. Search No Idea 4ZZZ on your favourite podcasting app. That's spelled KNOW, like no idea. It's a visual pun on an audio platform. I don't know why we did it.
Because you can.
Yeah, that's right. We do sight gags all the time. It amuses us.
They have plenty of ideas, no idea.
They do.
As she said, no idea.
Tricky
you can listen
folks.
while you're making your lunch with your knife.
And don't you worry, because we know that the Formula One Grand Prix is indeed on this weekend.
All right, we've got the knowledge on it.
Oh, it's the golden egg of 4ZZZ.
You tune 4ZZZ. Your local radio station. And the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Peter, we've got Gabe, and we've got Issy what do you got for us?
So, not to tread on balls of the air, but this weekend was a packed one for sports.
It was, wasn't it?
And typically what follows is, of course, having a cold one as well.
Mad Monday, we call it.
Yeah. I indulged at my local before going to a gig, and I'm sure many others who are listening in did as well. This study I'm about to cover is another study for the Great Name, Great Science category, which is by Flinders University, QS ranking.
Flinders University.
I should remember this one.
87, yeah.
I think it's
87?
351.
420.
Max, you were kind of close. You were all kind of close. 387. Might have had a little too much over the weekend, Max. Where researchers analysed 2 decades worth of data from 23,000 Aussie participants about their drinking habits. The study, titled "Okay Boomer," a longitudinal analysis unraveling generational cohort differences in alcohol consumption amongst Australians, examined 5 generations from the silent generation to Gen Z to finding there was a clear generational shift in alcohol consumption. I found it interesting that their measures used wasn't just about whether or not you drank alcohol, so alcohol abstinence, like if people identified as drinkers or not. They also looked at the volume of alcohol consumed per occasion, and also the typical weekly alcohol consumption, which also looked at volume but frequency of drinking, because that's 2 kind of different levels: how much you drink in a week
and how regular.
Yeah. So it found that Gen Z, Millennials and Gen X had increased odds of abstinence, whilst the silent generation had decreased odds of abstinence from drinking. Interestingly, when measuring alcohol volume per drinking occasion amongst drinkers, it revealed that Gen X and Millennials exhibited a significantly higher volume of alcohol consumption per drinking occasion compared to baby boomers, whereas the silent generation consumed significantly less. So, laying
that makes
it out,
sense to me.
Yeah, the silent generation drinking more frequently but lower volume, whilst other generations drinking more higher volume but not as frequent. So if we're putting it on an axis, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, like millennials going to the club and having a binge night. You know?
And
that was the 2010s.
Yeah, and something to consider as well is that abstinent rates are lowest in early adulthood. To no surprise, you're typically in university or you're quite young, quite a healthy young liver.
Who can afford to drink out
Well,
anyway?
that's what we're going to talk about a little earlier. So they're looking also, because this is 2 decades worth of data, they're looking at what typically alcohol consumption in a lifetime looks like. So abstinent rates are lowest in early adulthood, but rose in a non-linear fashion across the lifespan. So to illustrate, it's typically the quantity of alcohol consumed per week across generations peaked in early adulthood, declined into adulthood, so 20s to 30s, rose in a second peak in midlife, and then declined considerably after the age of about 60.
The wine era.
That sums up my life.
Wait, but were they asking individuals like they're drinking? Like, did they ask the older individuals like, "Oh, what did you drink in your 20s?" Or
Yes,
was it
so they
just,
will. Is
okay, cool, that's cool.
What is your age? Was this? Are you drinking more than you did earlier? Are you drinking less than you did earlier? So kind of getting an idea of how people's alcohol habits have changed with their age.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So the current study indicates Gen Z demonstrates higher rates of abstinence and a lower volume of weekly alcohol consumption compared to generations that preceded them. Likewise, Gen Z seems to be reverting to the per occasion drinking levels characteristic of baby boomers, in contrast to the higher consumption rates observed in millennials and Gen Xers, which aligns with when I talk to my friends. A lot of them go, if I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink hard, as opposed to, which has its own problems, of course, but it stops that kind of frequent having 2 or 3 standards every single night.
Sure.
They just go hard for one time and then abstain from the rest. Yeah.
And just to clarify, I think the research is maybe not in support of that as
no.
piece
They're
of
pretty neutral. But I think this study.
The takeaway I've gotten from recent alcohol research is the more the worse, the less the better.
Yes.
So is there health advice?
Co-author Dr. Kira Lee Thompson said the finding does challenge the long-held assumptions about Australian drinking culture, with more online socialising, rising living costs, and more health awareness potentially changing the way people spend their time and money. Now, researchers did receive funding from the Australian Government Department of Health, Disability and Ageing to support this research regarding alcohol and other drug use. So keep that in mind. This study also did focus on self-reported alcohol consumption, of course. Generations are not a defined category. So for many of us, some fall between the millennial and Zoomer category. So there are some kind of data points that may not 100% align, or it's not as clear cut. And of course, when you're self-reporting your own alcohol consumption, there is a level of shame that comes with alcoholism. So keep that in mind as we're kind of looking at this study. But it did give us a really interesting framework to work with future studies, including studying changing social culture of so-called Australia. So at least for me, going out at my local to watch the NRL, I typically wake up scared to look at my bank account because of the rising cost of living. So a lot of people, at least for my generation, when they talk about going hard and then abstaining, it is typically due to costs.
That happened to me a couple weeks ago. I went out. I need to tell the story. I need to get it off my chest. I went out. I don't really drink ever. It's not really my thing. I don't need it. It doesn't bother me. Like, I have a really good time without alcohol. But I was at this place. I was having fun with friends, and I saw they had one that I liked. And I was like, oh, I just genuinely enjoy that drink. Maybe I'll just buy one to have the drink. I like the flavour.
And sit on it, yeah.
I just thought it'd be nice to have a nice cold drink that tasted of grape. I was excited. And then, you know how when you're in like a club, they sort of like open it and then hand you the thing to like pay? Like, it happens very quickly. So I just paid. And then as I was paying, I saw $18 for one can. I was incensed. I was enraged. I was like, why am I having this? Because this does nothing for me. All I wanted was a grape drink. No, not give me 2. Give me none. Refund me. I don't want this. I was so angry. I literally took a picture of my face so that next time I'm out, I think to myself, it's not worth it. Just get a Coke later.
Or typically, friends double parking themselves on happy hour drinks and then just sipping that for 2 hours because it is like a give or take with rising cost of living, of course. But I thought this was a really interesting study because when I look online, especially international students coming to Australia, they do ask, how big is the drinking culture? Because I don't typically drink. And I don't think in 2025, you're not really missing out on too much if you don't go out and have a drink. I think it's more if you don't drink coffee, you are missing out on a little bit more of a social
You should drink coffee
culture.
in Australia.
So, I thought that was really interesting.
For example, social drinking is generally associated with positive effects, while drinking alone can be linked to to negative effects. However, the actual...
Sorry, did you just say drinking together is generally with good effect?
Yeah, it is. Until you have too much, I guess. But
In moderation.
in moderation.
That's such a big caveat.
That's a huge thing to throw out on the science show. Can you say whether that's a Maxiism or whether that was in the study?
Yeah, it's right. I don't know. However, the actual neurobiological... You tune into 4ZZZ. The show's No Idea. With me, Max, Issy, Gabe, and Peta. No Idea Space News. Blue Origin has a crewed flight happening today. It's called Mission NS-36 because it will be the 36th overall flight of New Shepard, an autonomous reusable rocket capsule. 21 of the New Shepard missions to date have been uncrewed research flights. This will be the 15th to carry people. And 6 people will go up on NS-36. They are franchise industry executive Jeff Elgin, media entrepreneur Dana Karagosova, electrical engineer and robotics researcher Clint Kelly III, software entrepreneur Aaron Newman, and a Ukrainian businessman Vitaly Ostrovsky.
Ostrovsky.
And a 6th passenger who wishes to remain anonymous until after the flight. My question is,
hello?
Who do you think the 6th passenger is?
T-Swizz.
Definitely Taylor Swift.
It's T-Swizz. She doesn't want to be told. It's T-Swizz.
T-Swizz. Blue Origin, no, that's not.
It's probably
not
also
Elon
just another
Musk.
one of those
It's not-
random billionaires that we don't
I was
know
gonna say,
about, you know? The secret ones.
One of those secret. It's going to be like the Walmart CEO or something. It's going to be someone random. That is crazy.
Well, we know it's not going to be
LVMH
Jeff
CEO.
Bezos' ex-wife. We know that.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Surely they're going to take photos of everyone, though, no? Or do they control
why
it
they
that
said
much
after
that
the
they
flight.
can?
Until
Okay.
after the
Yeah.
flight. So who's not?
So as soon as they're down on the ground,
Yeah,
then
they
they
have-
can publicise it, I
Yeah.
guess.
If they
Taylor
make it back.
Swift. Taylor Swift. I think that's great.
Or her fiance.
Oh
Maybe
my
they
God.
haven't sold the seat yet.
Oh, that could be good. They're like, hey, low on tickets. Kind of need to fill this one.
That's right.
Let's make it sound really
Yeah.
mysterious
Pulling a
so
Katy
all the
Perry.
billionaires get
And a
jealous.
copy of Showgirl set up.
Oh, that's great.
He means the album.
The Life of a Showgirl. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, an Australian-led study, we're moving on, has found that spores of Bacillus subtilis bacterium.
Nice.
You added so many syllables.
Subtilis.
Subtilis. That's it.
Wonderful. I'm so glad we get to read your notes, Max.
A bacterium, which is essential for human health, can survive rapid acceleration, short duration microgravity, and rapid
Sorry,
deceleration.
who's shooting bacteria?
Well, I think
And how?
the idea would be they could potentially survive on rockets. Yeah.
Yes, but how are we testing this? Are they flinging them out of slingshots?
Yeah, they did.
Like, what the hell is happening?
They were launched more than 260 kilometres into the sky and then studied once the rocket fell back to Earth.
Oh, I was going to say, how did they find them? Like, I was imagining shooting up individual packets of bacteria. And they're like, well, hopefully
little
we can
micro
catch them.
rockets.
Oh my God.
See how they go.
Anyway, that's it for the space news. Now, we're going to talk
good
about
stuff.
subscribing before we Gabe signs
Yes,
us
we
out.
do.
So what do we got? We got...
We've
if you
had
want
a
to
couple.
subscribe, go
People have been liking this
They
show,
have.
and I really appreciate that.
If you go to our
personally. I also
website-
love how many people subscribe during marine science.
Correct.
Please continue to do that.
So if you go to our website /support, you can subscribe for, if you're under 18, for $25, pets $25, concession $40, a full $80, and a passionate will set you back $140. Or you can become a super sub and get your name written downstairs for $500. And we
We've got
go
a-
into the running for the weekly prize, monthly prize.
We do have our October prize is a spectacular prize pack from Berserk, which is one of Australia's largest alternative online shops based here in Brizzy. This Halloween, Berserk is treating one lucky 4ZZZ listener to a fantastic prize pack valued over $500. So you can go ahead and pick out what you like, whether you like a cute, goth, or punk. You've got a variety of choices at Berserk.
I used to be so old. I would have loved that.
I was going to say,
My whole-
I was having a look at the website as well. So all that and more with a warm inner glow on if you subscribe to 4ZZZ at 4ZZZ.org.au.
So is that Gabe?
That is all we have time for, and this show is brought to you thanks to all of the subscribers on 4ZZZ who do quite genuinely keep us on air. This hope-filled show is dedicated to the memory and legacy of Dr. Jane Goodall, DBE. You can listen back to the full recording of this show with all the music, as well as a bunch of our previous shows on the 4ZZZ.org.au website. The condensed version is also available on your podcasting platform of choice to search up No Idea 4ZZZ. That's No with a K. No Idea 4ZZZ.
You might have to scroll a bit, but we are there. You'll see us, we're kind of purple. Look for us. For some reason, guys, we're being cancelled. We're not being cancelled, we're uncancelable. We're being silenced.
Something's going on with the search sometimes.
So please search us up.
It is there, No Idea 4ZZZ.
It's a very good podcast. Toby makes it incredible.
We'll be back in your ears next week. Between now and then, use a drone to count your turtles, ram some earth, track your drinks for science, and maintain your hope.
And we'll speak to you next week.
See ya!
See ya.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.